That was lovely.
All right, we are live here on another historic episode of Fireside Chats. Thanks everybody for joining in. Tonight we have two very special guests, a little bit of old school, a little bit of new school. In your top right-hand corner, Kevin from Bristol. Kevin, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be with my man, Jack Coleman.
Absolutely. Happy to be here, guys. Freddie, I know we had you've been trying to figure this out for a while now, so happy I could hop on and chop it up.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I know it's been a crazy work schedule for you, which is unique in the past 6 months, but congratulations on, getting some work. We appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
So thanks for hopping on. We've got lots to get to. We'll jump into it here shortly. Just a couple of, housekeeping items at the top. This is our first time going live on a Friday night. This is a one-off event. We are not taking the time slot of Mike and the Minifans. Next week, we are going back to our typical Tuesday evening show. We'll live react to Surviving Barstool as it comes out for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see what happens after that. But this is a one-off because the scheduling was weird this week with New Year's and the holiday and things like that. So just to not confuse anybody any further, this is not a new time slot. This is just a one-off event. Anyway, like I said, lots to get to. So obviously we had the best of debacle this week. Coleman is a former producer and a former coworker of Gus. What were your takes out of this sort of this mess 2.0?
Yeah, I mean, obviously after last year, I had my mess ups there as well with the best of. But going into it, we all just were kind of hoping Gus was going to knock this out of the park, right? Like redemption, finally get a second chance at it. And I was pulling for him. I will say I was getting nervous as it was going on. I was getting a couple messages from him. I'll see if I can pull up some stuff. So this is Sunday. When would that have been? Sunday was the 29th. So Sunday the 29th, he goes, Jimmy Carter part made your part better. What was your teacher's name? I said, Mr. Matson. He said, thank you. That was it. Pretty sure that didn't make the cut anywhere. Not sure where that went. He also had another one Saturday, the day before. I said, how's it coming? He said, yeah, I'm dressing up for some of them. It's going to be good. Remember the beginning of Tropic Thunder when there's the trailer with the Jeff Portnoy movie? That's what this is going to be. I said, amazing. He said, they're actually a plan, LOL. So, the mind inside the mind of a genius there, just nuts. What I think happened is he had grand plans. I think initially going in, he probably had reached out to people to do different intros and everything, like we saw with Josh and James and everything. And he had reached out to me as well. Never followed up, never kind of came through on any of those. So then he went Gus panic mode and was just trying to put something together last minute. And we wound up with what we wound up with.
Yeah, I think he definitely had plans. Obviously, they fell through. Maybe it was from work. Maybe he should have started sooner. Maybe he doesn't know how to edit audio. I don't know. Kevin, where do you think things took a turn?
Well, when you say take a turn, I'm going to say that I don't think it was bad at all. If Gus was a novel, it would be like The Accidental Humorist. Gus is at his best, his very best, when he's not trying to be funny.
Right.
When he's trying to be funny, he's not funny. And in this case, everyone's waiting to see if Gus can do it. Everyone's debating, will he have it? Won't he have it? What's going to happen? Will Gus surprise everyone? Will Gus shock everyone? And instead, he produces an absolute dumpster fire of abortions. And it's great. It makes better content. It's just great. It's what the people had a hope of Gus doing something wonderful. I like that. I like that you believe in
Mhm.
somebody that, it's not his forte to come through. It's his forte to fuck up and for everyone to make fun of it. And I don't know what's going to happen now with, let's say Kirk has DEC do it, and he'll probably do a good job with it. And that'll just suck.
Right.
I like the fact that we wait and we wait and we hope and he lets us down and it's a plane crash. I think it's a good thing. I think things like this every year this complete fucking mess. I laugh so hard. All the reactions, all the responses. I think that makes it. I think that makes it better. Maybe it's just me.
I actually thought that he was going to get a lifetime contract to do the best of every single year after he messed it up this bad this year. Because you're right, it was perfect. It was perfectly Gus. Kirk said it perfectly. He doesn't truly care about the best of. He cares about what goes, the behind the scenes stuff and the communication and things like that. Coleman, if you had to go back in time and do a little blame pie on last year's best of, and we'll be brief. We're not going to do best of all night, so relax, everybody.
Yeah. Where'd that go?
How much blame would you give to Gus for last year's versus yourself?
I'd probably say, God, I hate my blame pies. You know this. I'll go like 35% me, and then 65 Gus, I guess. I don't know. I'm pulling that out of my ass. I have no real idea. Looking back, my overall takeaway from the second best of this year around was like, I should have just done it myself last year, and we maybe wouldn't have been in this situation again. It could have maybe still been me and Gus right now. Who knows? So yeah, that was my takeaway in the long run. I should have just done it myself.
I don't think it would ever still be you and Gus. Maybe you, but
yeah,
Gus would not. Gus would have burned out Kirk would have burned out a long time ago.
For sure.
The funny thing is, I think I looked at the release dates of last year's best of and this year's best of, and I think this year was released later than last year's was.
Yeah,
even though
shorter.
Even though last year's came in at a cool 15 hours or so.
Right. Yeah, listen, I mean, in the time since, we've also seen the network kind of go on the main channel and everything. So you got guys like Duck now who are doing this weekly anyway, and who put together a pretty good best of. I watched not his best of, but his honorable mentions one. I happened to see it and watch some of that. He does a good job. He's great at what he does. So shout out to Duck.
It is interesting that people that don't work for the show possibly put more work into show content than people that do work for the show. Maybe we'll come back to that.
Well, that's the Fanatical fans. But are you gonna touch on DEC in the best of, because that's where I was gonna go next. But it's up to you.
So what do you think about that?
So he will probably do a fucking phenomenal job.
Do you think he still listens?
Here and there. No one ever leaves this world. I don't think he's as hardcore as he once was, but no one leaves the world. You dabble. I think DEC would do an excellent job. He'll put his own voice in between clips, and right here is where Kirk really lost it. What's going to happen now? And it'll be fine. And he'll expect Kirk to give him his roses, and Kirk will shit on him because that's funny. And DEC will fucking flip out and disappear again. I mean, it's just, that's how it will go. And that'll be funny too. But, I enjoy the fuck ups.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on the best of? We'll move on.
One more thing. Yeah. Let's just say, and I probably shouldn't even say it because it would be amazing if it happened. Let's just say DEC does this instead. He exacts revenge on Kirk. Rather than doing a best of during the holidays when all the shows are down, DEC does a 2-hour show of just DEC explaining why Kirk is a cunt. Just like, I don't know if you guys remember, just like Kirk did to DEC when he fled the first time. Right. That would be fucking amazing. But he's probably too much of a pussy, so it probably won't happen. But that's. Oh, and here's my last thought on it. Actually, here's my last thought. Rather than a best of, just pull something out of your hat. You don't even have to do something during the break. Let's say every 5 to 10 shows, when the show ends, the guys talk for 5 more minutes, and take one every 5 to 10 shows of 5 minutes and release that during the holiday. Cool.
Yeah, so not live, but an extra 5 minutes of downtime.
Yeah,
put it in the can and save it for the end of the year.
That's kind of cool.
That is a good idea, but that does involve thought and it involves planning. So I'm not sure we're going to quite get that.
Right.
We'd only get it, I think, if Kirk commanded it, and I don't see that happening. But because it would involve Kirk as well, doing an extra 5 minutes after he says we're fucking done. And I don't think
I thought you meant just the producers and whoever's in studio.
No,
Kirk's
I
not
think
sticking around for that.
Whoever's in studio.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm fine with that too. If Kirk leaves and the two guests and the producers have a 5-minute powwow, like I said, every 10 shows, and just release that afterwards. You might have some really cool stuff that you didn't know happened or was talked about. It's just something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm an idea man.
I agree. I'm all for good ideas, and that's a good one. That does lead me into my next point. There is a growing sentiment that there's ongoing producer apathy. And this has been sort of known with Cullinane. He came on part-time. I'm not going to kill him yet. We'll get there. But Justin seemed way too comfortable and almost proud that he did nothing over the break, almost like defiant. Coleman, again, as a former producer, you guys did stuff last year over the Christmas break. Am I wrong with that, or?
I know. So, but that's the other thing too, with us having done the best of, like that was taking up a majority of our break, having to go through everything. And yes, it was long and everything, but I was still going through cutting what was going to make it, what wasn't. And on top of that, not that it was technically not that it was break, but I believe we did do a producer show the Friday after our final show before break as well. I don't remember if there was social media stuff in between. I know the best of was chaotic, but typically the Barstool producers for every show do the best of, and that's kind of the work that they're doing, putting in either leading up to break and they're trying to get ahead, or over the course of the break. So with that taken out of the equation, you'd expect something, right? Like if I was in that scenario, I probably would have tried to put at least some kind of content in some form together. I thought the biggest knock on Justin was the football game with Pat Ford, having nothing there. Like even just a social media clip or something, when you have a Minifan like Pat who's involved in the world, who's on the basketball team, everything, you'd expect that because we know Justin loves his Patriots games and everything. So not seeing anything there was a big knock for me, I thought.
Yeah, and Pat's not just, he's in the world. He was on the basketball team. He was super involved, but he's also on the show all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Justin wasn't going to the game with someone we don't know. You know what I mean? So that's a good point as well. Kevin, sort of thoughts on the growing apathy amongst the producer ranks.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked that and not that I think the guys should be like, grinding the wheel during the break, but and I get Dave has kids and he has a family. I thought Justin, these are his times to shine, and I think Justin loves the show. He'd do anything for the show, but kind of almost in a Gus way, he needs direction. And I don't know if Dave doesn't want to give him that because Dave would be the B producer or the A producer, but he needed some direction because Justin typically would do something like Kirk said. He'd eat something, he'd throw something up, he would do something, to give us a little something, a little joy. And it's listen, I don't need that, but I don't even expect it, but I thought he would do it. I thought Dave, I didn't think so. Dave, and I feel like Dave, when he is whether it's apathetic or he seems unfazed, that tells me Dave's in a good place. When Dave gets riled up, it shows me Dave's burnt out and Dave can't take it anymore. Dave not overreacting to not doing anything, getting in trouble, tells me that Dave is still in it. I learned that. The first time I thought Dave was uninterested. I thought he was uninvolved. But then I learned to love the fact that that's Dave. And the fact that he's not over the top and high strung tells me he's still in the game. But yeah, I was surprised with Justin. I think he could have used some direction, not from Kirk, but from Dave. And I think if they're in it a little longer, I think they'll do more of that. I was really surprised there was nothing, and not even that I needed it. I was just surprised for the rest of the world there was nothing.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Justin try to get into a semantical battle with Kirk about how many 8 days off versus 9 days versus whatever. Like you typically wouldn't see that, a producer getting in a battle with Kirk about something specific like that without Kirk just turning his skin inside out and sort of, hanging him up like a deer carcass.
Yeah, I may have a prediction for the year based upon some of this. But also I do think that there's this growing I don't necessarily agree with it at all, but there's a narrative online that Justin only likes Justin content. So like people brought up how he had a Justin show over break one time back when he wasn't fully on the show and everything. And maybe he tends to spark up a bit when he doesn't have topics, but maybe a Justin topic comes in and he perks up a little bit. What do you guys think about that? I'm not saying that's exactly where I stand. I know how much Justin likes the show and the overall show, but that is something I'm seeing a good deal of.
I hear that, and I struggle with it because there is Justin the Minifan is an A+ Minifan. He loves the show
Right.
more than anybody else.
Exactly.
But when you're in the producer chair, I think it's a different seat. It's a different role. So you're not living as, you're a piece of meat for Kirk. You live for the show, and maybe that's where the disconnect comes in. Where if you're a fan, you're just consuming it, whereas you're not expected to do these things.
Right.
Yeah, this kind of ties into two things. One is how the producers react to Kirk, and one is, and I know you'll get to it later with things that like other Minifans say, like Fax, about like Kirk is changing. Kirk has changed. I recall Kirk saying that he didn't want to parent like his dad did. He didn't want his kids to be afraid of him. And I do think that Kirk redirects some of that Pete Minihane fathering into the workplace. And I would bet my house that many of the things that Kirk's dad said to Kirk saying,
Kirk, don't turn it off yet. Kirk, don't turn it off yet. Stick with us.
so yeah, right. Anything I'm on, he's gonna hate anyway, so that's fine. But I, like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing either. I think a lot of this generation coming up needs have a little balance of of fear and admiration and humor with their boss, and I think Kirk's figuring a lot out as he goes. Let's say that he was hitting the wall with a putter, putting holes in the wall. He is upset, but it's all how he channels that. And, for the most part, it's funny, it's good, but you got to wonder when these guys get disconnected, when these guys get lobotomized, so I don't know what's going on inside their heads, but will that light a fire under them going forward? I don't know. Coleman, you were there. Will it?
I don't know. I mean, I will say when you brought up the putter thing, I was getting flashbacks to when he was chucking cookies at the screen, at the glass thing there with Gus, where it was just a building, more rapid fire, more firing off. Like that putter was going and it was going. And I felt that same exact feeling that we were building to something there. It leveled off, but we were getting close for sure. I felt it there.
Well, and he had a reason because he was doing that in reaction to Justin not lying, right, but like not knowing the full answer. Like, what time did you get told that Gus couldn't be on the show? By the time Kirk asked if Gus could be on the show, they already knew he couldn't. They just didn't answer him. Like that's the miscommunication that drives him nuts.
Yeah,
they're afraid of the ghost of Peter Minihane. They're afraid, and I get that. But you know what? That has to, at some point, if you're going to work for Kirk, has to light a fire under your ass. It has to. Yeah. I worked for a movie producer in LA named Carl Mazzacone, and him and I worked together for years. The fucking guy terrified me. He was an enormous human being. He had hands like catcher's mitts, and he would like smash laptops while screaming at me. And I got to say, it drove me. I in a weird way, I kind of got off on it, and it made me do better. Now, maybe that's just me because I'm old, but these guys have to see Kirk's fire and fucking do something with it,
And I mean, the Cullinane text in the group chat, I cringed so hard when I heard that. I've been in that scenario before, not with Kirk or anything, but you ever like screenshot a message and send it to the person who you were communicating with or whatever and send it right back to them? I hate that. So I was cringing unbelievably hard for Cullinane there.
Yeah. We're gonna get shit for this one, aren't we? Yeah, you sure are. Okay, good. Any just before we transition, anything else on this topic before we hit our next segment here?
No, let's ride.
No, it should be good. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do some quick trivia. This week trivia. Hold on, folks. Just relax. It'll be quick. It is a little different than normal. I have 3 separate questions for both of you, and they're tailored sort of towards each of you. So it's not unfair where Kevin just knows everything KMS and he's going to roll away with it. So I'll go Coleman's 3 questions first, and then Kevin, you'll know the score to beat. You'll get 3 questions after that. You guys ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, Coleman.
Let me say this real quick.
Yep.
The last game played on the show where that guy, what was it, the beer stud, was playing the little minutes of songs.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was the first time I heard something and I was like, wow, this is a fucking game I could play. Most of the time I don't know jack shit, but that was that one time where I was like,
that was actually a fun game. There'd been a run of not really great games recently, and I thought that was actually kind of good.
Right. I agree. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Freddie.
Yeah, the games are hit or miss for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of misses.
But that's fine too. Misses are good too. I like that.
All right, Coleman, first question.
And activities.
In 1936, Cooperstown, Kirk's favorite small town in America, the Baseball Hall of Fame had their inaugural class inducted into the Hall of Fame. This was the inaugural class into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
There were 5 inductees. So my question to you is, how many of those inductees were New York Yankees?
Oh, that's a little bit better. It's a number. I thought I was going to be here for 3 days.
Again, this is the inaugural first class inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to go with 3.
That's not a bad guess, but the answer is incorrect. Just one, Babe Ruth.
Was that was that Honus Wagner?
Number 3, baby.
So we had Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Walter Johnson, and Christy Mathewson. Technically, he was a New York baseball giant when they used to have that team. But
no Paul
anyway,
Bunn.
that was the inaugural Hall of Fame class. 0 for 1.
Harvey Lick, no.
All right, question 2. Which, and this is sort of KMS adjacent. Which of the following musical artists was a member of the rock supergroup? This is multiple choice.
Okay.
The Traveling Wilburys. Was it A, Johnny Cash, B, Roy Orbison, or C, Bruce Springsteen?
I guess I'm going to go Bruce Springsteen.
You fell into the trap. Nope. Incorrect. The correct answer
Roy
is
Orbison?
B, Roy Orbison. Yes, Kevin.
You set me up. You set me up right into the trap, and I fell for it. Didn't make sense at all, but I fell for the trap.
Yeah,
I was going to go with B.
You're familiar with his work, Kevin?
I've been called a dollar store Roy Orbison before, so yeah, it's a bad karaoke.
0 for 2, Coleman. Let's see if you can get number 3 here. Ready?
Yep.
College basketball question. This LSU Tiger is still the all-time leading point scorer in NCAA basketball history. Multiple choice. Is it A, Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah, Shaq.
B, Pistol Pete Maravich? Or C, Glenn Big Baby Davis?
Shaq.
Unfortunately, that's incorrect. It is B, Pistol Pete Maravich.
Really? Really?
Kevin, are you familiar with his game?
Fuck yeah.
Yes. That's crazy. I fully would have thought it was Shaq regardless. That's nuts.
I fashioned my game after Pistol Pete. I try to play.
Okay, Coleman 0 for 3. And for the 10 people watching that get all 3 of those inside jokes, they were all Kevin related.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin.
Oh my God.
Your questions are a little harder. But you only need one. You only need to get one correct. Ready? Okay. First question. What was the title of the first episode of the Kirk Minihane Show? The title of the first episode of the Kirk Minihane Show when he joined Barstool back in 2019.
Holy shit. Yeah. Fuck. I have no clue. All aboard? I don't know.
Nope. It was called Kirk Minihane Has Arrived at Barstool Sports.
Oh, God. That's right. Damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're stumping them again. Actually, they get easier, Kevin. Number 2, what was the name of Dave Portnoy's dog that died that distracted him long enough to save Steve's job and ultimately saved Kirk's job and saved the podcast? Dave Portnoy's dog's name that died.
Oh my God.
I actually have it if he doesn't.
You know this?
Mm-hmm.
I remember they had T-shirts made.
That was going to be my hint. Do you remember the design of the T-shirts?
Gus would wear it all the time.
I think Steve Robinson had one, right?
Steve was wearing one at the cornhole tournament, and he had the
Mhm.
same outfit on that night at the Plymouth Live show. You're gonna kick yourself.
I know I am. I know. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, Silvio. What the fuck is it?
Silvio.
I'm thinking of Silvana. His
Four,
no, I don't know. I don't know.
three. Okay, Coleman.
Stella.
Stella. That's correct. Yes.
Let's go. Let's go.
Oh,
All
God.
right. All right, Kevin. It all comes down to this. You need to get this one to win 1-0. So if you don't get this, we'll figure something out. What was the name of the show that Gus hosted on the network in the earlier days of KMS? The show that Gus hosted on the early network.
It's the Gus Bus?
Come on, Kevin.
Do
you know it, Coleman?
I'm close
Coleman
to it. I'm trying to remember though.
They used to talk about it on the show every now and then, back in 21, 22.
I know his college show was like the Goose.
Mm-hmm.
Goose. I don't know.
Okay. Coleman, do you have a guess?
Was
it like Minifan something?
No,
like, was that in the title?
We'll move on. It was called Kirk and Off.
Okay. Right.
Oh, you should have said he was the news anchor for it. I thought his solo show. I knew that. Okay. I thought of that name. Fuck.
Well, we're going to end up in a tie 0-0. I don't have any tiebreakers for you right now. No. Well, but Coleman answered one of your questions right, so I guess Coleman wins 0.5 to 0. So
let's go.
That was a little different spin on trivia. Hopefully, maybe one or two people found it entertaining. I don't care. Whatever. Quick transition into a new segment I'd like to call Sneakers Sandbox, because Sneakers makes good points every once in a while. One of them including
trolls.
There was we'll get there, Coleman. We'll get there. There was a random Minifan that tweeted out that they're seeking band people to try out for the next live show. And he said, I've been tasked with this. And the question was, well, who tasked you? Did the producers reach out and is this a Dave Scramble job? Did they wait too long? That show's coming up pretty soon. So point for Sneakers for pointing out that this is maybe another fail by the producers. If you didn't have a band, Coleman, as a producer, would you be on this more than 2 months out from the show?
Yeah, this seems like something that might be more behind the scenes than we really know. Like maybe Kirk is kind of taking the lead on it. I really don't know what the scenario is. I do remember that I thought they were going to do something like in studio or something and hold tryouts, and that didn't seem to be happening.
That's never going to happen. The Battle of the Bands.
Yeah,
not happen.
But that would have been cool. That would have been easy content to do. So yeah,
it's
I don't
easy
really
to
know.
Get multiple bands to set up their equipment. Do you know how long it takes for a band to set up their equipment? That would not be easy.
if you had it all planned out ahead of time to be able to do, it's good content for one day to be able to do. Just come in, play something real quick live on the show would be pretty fun.
I'm surprised bands haven't.
I don't think it's that impossible to do.
It's easier said than done, I think.
Yeah, to set up and sound good is not as easy as it seems, but to send in, tapes or videos of yourself, that should already be happening. But, not even with the guys reaching out, people should be reaching out to them. I mean, you think you'd want to be the house band for KMS? That's fucking, legendary.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. Just a couple more quick nuggets. We'll roll through it, but. Speaking of Sneakers and the troll chat, Coleman, you just shouted them out. I have many sources in the troll chat that have reached out to me and said that you were trashing the show, that yesterday's show was tough to watch. You said the show sucks. So
no, that's not what I said at all. I never said the show sucks or anything.
Okay.
I just thought that it wasn't the best show, not because of Kirk or anything like that. It was more so I thought that there'd be more topics at the ready coming off of break where the producers didn't have any content over break. Normally, I would have a running list of topics over the course of the entire break whenever we had one, so that, listen, even if we got down to it and nothing was rolling, I'd still have stuff to pull from towards the end of the show. They were in and out within like I don't know, 45 minutes of like 3 or 4 topics that each of them had. That was my main concern there.
Yeah, and
Overall, though,
that is
yeah,
classic Dave. That's what Dave's shows were like for the last year of his
for
original
sure.
run.
Yeah,
So do you put the blame on Dave there, or do you put it on Justin, or
combo
who
of
messed
the
up?
two. Combo of the two. I just think you should have way more topics coming off of a break with no content coming out too. Like that's where I thought they'd make up for the lack of content would be a big show, come back in, topics ready to roll. That was my only big takeaway there.
Yeah,
I'm liking the show. Don't worry.
I'd rather hear Kirk say, I don't want to talk about that. That's fucking stupid. You know, I'd rather hear that 10 times and have a few nuggets in between where something clicks. And you know, and the reasoning for that, I have no idea. But the same thing, I thought we would have a litany of things to go over and too many things. But you know, maybe there wasn't enough stuff in the world with, you know, presidents and suicide bombers and whatnot. Maybe there wasn't enough artists dying and, you know, I don't know, Mutt Manansky.
Yeah. So
yeah,
when you see a show that's tough to watch, you're more so blaming the producers for not bringing it to the table. Because
I tend to think so because I was in that role, you know.
Yeah, because what Kevin's saying is he'd rather hear Kirk say next 10 times, and that's what he used to do with you. But you would have 50 topics every show.
That's the thing, and even if it was a super shitty topic, sack up, throw it out there, and maybe it expands into something. I had a ton of bad topics that launched into decent conversation after the fact because I was so stupid about it. Throw it out there, see if it hits, and at least have something. The not too much after 4 things is brutal. No one wants to listen to that.
Did you ever play dumb about anything, or if you came off as not knowing something, you truly had no idea?
What do you mean by that?
Like not knowing, like Joe Torre, as an example.
Yeah. What about it?
Like you didn't know who he was.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it sounds familiar. Knew the name, yada yada. Yeah.
So you weren't playing dumb. You just didn't know who he was.
Well, I knew
nothing wasn't a bit at all.
Oh no. That's the thing too that I would get frustrated with is like not necessarily on the show as much, but people online would say like I'm lying about something. I'm genuinely just an absurd person sometimes. Like I get it. It's frustrating, but I'm very authentic. Pretty much all the time that I was on the air and everything. There was very few lies, if any at all. I'm sure if you went back, you'd maybe find some, but pretty much I'm off the rip, very much authentic.
I thought you were pretty authentic off the air as well. You know, so
yeah.
I mean, you had a decent run.
Listen, stupid guys sometimes make my mistakes, but yeah,
No.
I tend to tell the truth.
And no one can pull the stupid out of somebody like Kirk.
That's true.
Yeah, well, like you know, not that I want to rehash back to my days, but when Kirk was on EEI, you know, he would do things with Curtis, and I said to myself, this can't be real. He had Curtis one time, I think it was Curtis, try to name the Beatles, and he couldn't name the Beatles. He couldn't name the 4 Beatles, and I'm like, this can't be real. And now if you listen to EEI, Curtis acts like he's the smartest guy on the show, you know, and I mean, it's much better Kirk's way, trust me. But I didn't know if the producers ever played into that. You know what I mean? I don't know if Justin plays into it. I don't know. You know, sometimes I can't believe that he can't say a word. I'm like, this is fucking absurd. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kirk does pull out the best in stupidity. I don't know.
And I do think trying to name the Beatles may have been one of the original battles of the brainless between Curtis and Mutt, which those were classic. Those were very classic.
So
Mutt's stupidity has spanned several presidencies at this point.
R.I.P. 2025 Mutt. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Well, unless the right person, you know, croaks on a Tuesday.
Anybody have a guess? Anybody have a guess who's going to die next?
Oof.
I don't know.
I actually do have one. I thought of this the other night. I saw them on the New Year's thing. Let me make sure I'm saying. Yeah, Carol Burnett. That's my call.
Ooh. That's good. I'm going to go with Lee Majors.
Oh, they're both up there.
Yeah.
Both good candidates. Kirk tends to shy away from people that he would be sad if they died. So, like, he doesn't do a lot of people in entertainment if he actually likes them. So,
right. Like he doesn't want to see Gene Hackman go, but it's coming.
Yeah, like I've said before, that would be a lose-lose if that happened because he loses his.
I mean,
and then he gets Mutt back. So
Yeah. There's also like Dick Van Dyke up there, but he's looking spry. I don't know if you've seen those videos of him, but he's dancing all over the place still. Crazy.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Another quick, just again, he's been beat up so much, but Timothy Fax, he just can't seem to get out of his own way. Like he's almost been fired 3 times before he's even started as the intern. Like I feel like just saying this about him, he's gonna go do a 1-hour monologue about it and tell me how much he's messed up. And it's like Kirk said, cut clips and put your head down. And since then, he's been on 15 shows since then. He keeps going on shows. He's addicted to going on the network to talk about
Clout. Listen, I do not like this guy. I think he's simply doing this to get in at Barstool. You're seeing it a million times over. He's ready to leave his family and kids. Scumbag move. All he does is want to do shows. It's clearly apparent. If you're the intern, listen, we had my intern guy get kicked out of there right away for trying to do anything more than just stay in the background, film. All you got to do, brother, is cut clips, say nothing. You should be seen and not heard if you're interning for this show. Also, I think he has a slight advantage going for him. I think in the past he wouldn't have been making it this far with everything he's been doing because they want some more youth maybe around him. I'm not there anymore. Maybe Fax can provide some youthful energy, and that's why they're maybe keeping him around. But I
wasn't
hate
so
this
energetic
move.
falling asleep in the chair before the show. But
Exactly. I
Kevin,
think it
any
won't
thoughts on
last.
this?
I look back at like oh god, who was the great kid with the long hair and the great dad? Fuck.
Harrison.
So Harrison, really stayed out of the way and still managed to piss Kirk off. And and the fucking kid the one time he spoke up, he stuck his neck out for me, saying how great one of my songs was that Kirk wouldn't play. And I think, just sealed his fate. But I mean, there was a guy who did really good work, who was quiet as a fucking mouse, and he still fucking burned his way out of town. Yeah, as far as Fax goes, if you really wanted to get in, you go on no shows, you say nothing, you go in ground level, head down, do some fucking work, and who knows, maybe build a niche for yourself and maybe become something at some point. But to go in already, trying to make a lot of noise, I think is a huge mistake. I mean, I don't know him from Adam, so I don't know, what he is as a person, but going in the way he's going in, I don't see it lasting long, if at all.
Yeah, and I feel like an intern for the show should go in and like, if I hear the phrase cutting clips one more time, like that's not the only thing. Like that's maybe what you got to do during the show, and that's like the base level. But beyond that, he said that he's going there to learn how to be a producer and things like that. Like that's fine. That's like part B, but there needs to be another level. I feel like if you want to be a successful intern, what are your special projects on the side? When everyone goes home for the day, what are you working on? Are you going to compile like a list or a compilation of parody songs? Are you going to make a catalog of episodes? Are you going to work on merch ideas? Like you have to bring something to the table. You're like, it's a two-way street. You're not just there to learn, like to just learn how to do the job. You need to also provide value to the show other than just cutting clips.
Yeah, I think if he showed up without any fanfare, and he had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, Kirk might not notice at first, but I guarantee you, better for worse, Dave Cullinane would say something. This kid's doing a great job back here. He's doing a lot, and Justin would chime in as well. But that would be the way to do it. The way it's going right now, like I said, and it'll be entertaining. It'll be funny as fuck. It'll be entertaining
exactly
to watch the ship explode and go under. But I don't see it working, unfortunately. I want everyone to at least get a shot. But like I said, I think we're gonna watch that ship sink.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, as someone who spent their days tweeting at multiple Barstool personalities and everything, I can smell one when I see one, guys. This guy is just trying to get in anywhere he can.
Well, he did, Coleman. Did you know that he did intern for
for Chaps
Zero Blog? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah,
I'm sure there's DMs and messages there.
and he's
Sure about
on.
it.
Who did the book 10,000 Hours? Malcolm Gladwell. He's very close to 10,000 hours in front of the mic and the camera on the networks to get to where he thinks he needs to be as a broadcaster. Um, he isn't, to be fair, he isn't shy about he wants a career in media, so he is ultimately using this. And I'm not going to kill him too much. We don't need to beat a dead horse.
That's the flip side. I'll say this, and it's lacking in a lot of people. At the very least, he seems like a bit of a go-getter.
Time will tell, I think.
Yeah.
Gonna be fun.
Time will tell. We did sort of already touch on DEC. There were a lot of sort of old school references in the last couple episodes. Speaking of episodes, I believe today was episode 983. Tim and Canton has episode 1000 in late January. I have it early February, so it is coming, just as a side note. But any thoughts on sort of the old school references that you may have heard the last couple days?
The call to Stacy. There's something going up with that bar, right? Like that was sketchy. That was super sketchy how the girl was like not willing to talk about it leaving or whatever, and seemed to tie into a financial situation a bit. I don't know. My ears perked up at that a little
She
bit.
also definitely didn't know she was being recorded on a podcast.
Oh, 100%.
Well, it also wasn't Stacy. You have no idea.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when Kirk said call Stacy, all of a sudden, like my heart grew 3 times its size. I'm like, oh my God. You just could. Yeah. Madawaska 1 was my Woodstock. There was something there that you'll never. People will talk about it, years after I'm dead. But when we're about to get Stacy on the phone, I was like, I can't believe this is happening. We're connecting. We're closing the circle. It was nice. It had a little sweetness to it. But there's been a lot of names and ideas and stuff, coming back and forth, and it just shows, even how fast DEC answered the phone, started talking. It's like, the roots of this show go back so far, and they're so thick. They you just it all matters. In our little miniverse, it all matters, and it's very endearing to see that most of the people that I've come across are fucking fantastic. That they get along, they do stuff for each other. People shit on each other, stab each other in the back, and they just keep showing up. Even you mentioned Sneakers. I mean, Sneakers has been fucking going at it like this for a long time, shitting on everything for a long time. And at first I was like, what's up with this fucking guy? Why is he listening to the show? And now I love just watching the fucking the chat during a live show to see Sneakers eviscerating newbies. It's just it makes my day. So yeah, there's a lot going on right now that I don't know. It's a good thread of sentiment.
Like Justin, you are a slut for nostalgia, as Roscoe in the chat says.
So bad, yeah.
Yeah. There was another name from the not so distant past. People were asking for Steve Snell. He needs to be on the network, which is a great call. Don the Jeweler, credit to you on Twitter. Big Don guy. Steve Snell has been reached out to be on multiple programs. Apparently his internet is like back in the caveman times. He's got all sorts of issues. He lives way up in northern Maine. So he's on the list. He's going to be back. I think when the ground thaws in the spring, he's going to sort of dig a trench and put some cables down. And I think we will see Steve Snell in this world in 2025.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Snell
Yeah,
has
definitely.
Snell carries some eggs. He's a piece.
He was the original long form Fireside Chat guy.
Yes. In front of a fire out in the woods. Yes.
Jack, do you get that, or do you know what he did, or no?
Snell, of course. I mean, he made a reappearance when I was on the show. We had him in on the show as well during that stretch. But I was watching all his videos and everything, like out in the woods, which weirdly, like super nice, crisp camera and everything going for him compared to some other shows and everything. Like Snell gets it. Snell's a good guy. It's a good thing if he's back in the world.
Yeah, and sure. I think those videos took 18 hours to upload. They were like Gus level.
Yeah.
Well, Snell is like somewhere between like Bigfoot and Steve Robinson. He's raw, and he's also has some oddly brilliant to him. But and there's other guys like you mentioned, Don the Jeweler, David Maryland, Ted Sarandis, Kirk Minihane. There are guys who are never on the show, and their contributions are massive. They're entertaining. They're good. It's like even if they're not good, they're good. Even when they're hateful, they're good.
Grab Bag too recently has had some good clips pulled. Yeah. And I mean the songs and everything, of course. But recently his clips have been really solid. I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm sure I left people out, but there's a lot of good contributions coming in from people we've never seen or heard, which is great.
Yeah, and just like you said, Snell, those takes have value because they are raw, and that's what the people like. So, couple more quick ones.
Didn't Snell have the anal fissure?
No, that was Shane Mudgett, the meat cutter.
Oh, you're right. Oh my God.
I wouldn't put it past Snell to also have the same issue. I wouldn't do it.
Me neither.
He might be eating, raw venison up there. I don't know, moose. Who
you
knows?
Just WD-40 on it or something.
Just a couple. I'll preface it again. The producers have a hard job. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I found a new crutch for Cullinane. Every time he sort of is trying to explain something, he always says like, in that spot. Oh, in that spot, he has to do this. In that spot, you don't. And I think, my humble opinion, when he says in that spot, he's implying that there's missing context to the situation. And that implication of missing context is justifying him like kind of being apathetic to the situation.
Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting too deep there. I don't know, but just a quick gripe on Cullinane.
Yeah, I think it's more of a tick in his words. I think he does stuff like that when he's kind of figuring out what he's going to say as he's saying it. I think there's a lot of times, way more so with Dave than with Steve, and maybe as much as even when Coleman and Gus were there. There's times where you're trying to get a point across to Kirk, and if you're not doing it quickly, he's gonna eat you alive. There are times where Dave goes to say something and Kirk just either doesn't understand it or wants to get it out. And once again, that's it's funny stuff. Maybe.
Dave also had a couple moments in the last couple of days where he seemed a little off center. He was like, "Hey, Kirk, like." Nervous about booking and who should we put with this chair, and it's like I don't think Kirk typically has any input on that. Did he, Coleman, when you were there, did Kirk ever weigh in on that other than on the show? Or did you just book everybody?
I think I was pretty much trying to book on my own, and then would bring it up to Kirk in advance, and maybe he'd let me know if someone bigger in a certain spot, or I really don't remember, to be honest. I could be misspeaking here, but for the most part it would kind of be me and Justin or me and Gus just kind of planning out who we thought best for any given scenario, any given situation. I will say that part of the show where Cullinane was asking that to me was actually a telltale sign that he didn't have anything else left in the tank topics wise. That just seemed like a nice conversation filler he did not care about. I've been there before. It seemed like a topic just to get a topic out.
Yeah, when he starts asking about network shows, I feel like the tank is close to empty.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, real quick, that I think I've noticed him do is when he sees a topic not landing, he kind of goes into a bit of like well, that's just kind of crazy, isn't it? Like I've done that a bit before too, where you think you have a topic that you just have in the list and you're like, yeah, that's it. And it's pretty crazy. And it doesn't sound as good as you initially had going into it when you had that topic. But once the words are coming out, it's gone.
That's a great point, because that's what you do. Like whenever I call a radio station and you get your point out too quickly, and all you say to emphasize it is, that's nuts. So that's crazy. You lost your feet at that point.
I've been there. Like I've done it.
Oh yeah, I've been there many times. Yes, great. It's a great point.
Yeah,
and as far as third chairs go, it's one of those things where I think it doesn't really matter. There's a handful of people, Kirk really likes, handful Kirk really dislikes, and then in between, I think he just likes having something there. If they're quiet, he makes that funny. If they're talkative, he puts them in their place. But for the most part, as long as Mike is there, a revolving third chair or someone strong in the second chair, a revolving third chair, I don't think it really matters. Kirk is the driving force, and he's going to weave something out of nothing each time. Now, who he wants to come back more than once, that's just his personal preferences. I think there's certain people he just likes their vibe when they're in studio. They don't bother him or annoy him like some people do. And that's fine, But the third chair in general, I'm not going to say it matters. I don't think it does.
It should just be someone that loves the show and watches the show, because then in any given conversation, they can add a little bit of input if needed. If you're familiar with the Gus situation going on, you probably have a take on it. That's all that really matters.
Yep. And quick note on that. But first, last thing on Cully, 2 days in a row. And again, this is not a knock on him as a person. He just doesn't know what investment property is. When he's talking about what's her name, Alex Cooper buying a house for her family, that's not an investment property. But moving on, I thought Copper Doodle was slightly better than Beer Stud. And again, Beer Stud, good guy. Don't this isn't anything about him as a person. Might be a Nobel Prize winner, but on the show, a little muted, a little whatever. Copper Doodle has a little more to bring to the table.
Well, I mean, they're both underwhelming, but I think that's what Kirk not only wants. I think he emphasizes that, don't come in and talk too much. Don't come in and that would be male, which drives people crazy. But Kirk does that every once in a while because he likes that it drives people crazy. So it's a double-edged sword. But guys like Copperdoodle and Beer Stud, underwhelming is kind of what Kirk wants. He already has his Ed McMahon and Mike who'll do his chuckling and say some funny things, and Mike's on a roll. But the third chair should be underwhelming. It should be a little bit every now and then, and not much more.
I was itching to play the Copperdoodle drop when they were talking about Justin and Adam the Jew's son at the game. It literally is, have you ever touched a man's penis? I was dying for that to be played.
Well, the drops are hitting at about 15% these days. So
thought Dave did really well with the voiceover for the awards, though. I thought that was hilarious. Like, those drops were very funny. I'd love to see more of them, though.
Yeah, I think they were funny by mistake. But
when he first came back, he was, I thought, really implementing drops, and then they've kind of tapered off, and he kind of comes and goes. It's not his strong suit. Jack Coleman brought in drops, and he had lots of topics. That's about all he had in his bag.
Yep, that's it.
Well, we're
a genuine fucking guy.
We're getting close to the end. Any thoughts? I know Surviving Barstool comes back next week. The roundtable with Cinema Lords and the three other guys, they're recording tonight. That show comes out on Sunday. Give that a watch because they really dive deep into Surviving Barstool and they get into it. But any quick hit thoughts on that as that returns to us next week?
I really think Rhea runs away with it. That's my pick to win it all. We're seeing Dave kind of protect, whether it's movie or outside of that with Chicken Fry. Rhea never got protection from the whole Hank Marty thing. I think it's redemption time for her. I think she can use that in her favor in a tribal. I think Rhea runs away and takes it. And I think she has two idols still too, right? Like, no doubt.
Yeah, and Kirk has one too. So don't sleep on that.
For sure. No, definitely.
Maybe I'm just wishing for Kirk. It's like I watch whenever Kirk is on a show with all the Barstool guys, even though they find him funny and they like him, I see Kirk as a beacon of KMS, which will always be an outcast at Barstool. He's there and he makes it all work. And I'm amazed at how he, ingratiates himself into all that group of people that really, are not his people. And they come out of it, he's sneaky, is going to get further than I think, and I hope he wins it. But it's amazing how people forget all the hate and the anger and the bitter and all the wars and fights with Kirk. It all goes away during the show because he's a pretty fucking great teammate. He says good things. He's encouraging. He helps when he can help. He's great. That's shooting the fucking bottles.
Can't tell you how happy I was for him in that moment. After especially being part of it, weeks on end of losing with basketball, and he finally hits the shot that does it. My goodness, I jumped up. I was so ecstatic for him, for real.
That was like Hoosiers. It was like Hoosiers for me. My wife told me to shut up. I'm yelling. I was like cheering. I was standing up.
I was pumped.
I was so into it, and I wonder if the outside world did watch this, if they would be as into it as people people that are involved in the show as we are. Is it that good if you're not involved in all the stuff that we are with KMS?
Well, no, because knowing the personalities adds that layer and that level of intimacy, or whatever word you want to choose, with everybody on the screen. If you know everybody in play and you know their personality and you know their history, that definitely adds a huge level of interest.
I think it still lands with a broader audience too, though. Like, my parents are religiously watching every episode of Surviving, and like my dad dabbles in KMS and he'll listen, but like my mom doesn't. Like, she just loves watching it. She thinks it's good reality TV.
I feel like I'd like it either way. I just watching it. And I don't know a lot of the Barstool stuff, but I am fully invested, and I didn't think that I would be like that, But I'm all in, and I hope for the best going forward. I'd love to see Kirk at least get to the end.
I think if it's not Big Cat, it might be one of his Chicago people that pulls something here in the next couple weeks, because there's something brewing. Kirk said the next couple weeks are crazy, so it could be Monday, it could be Tuesday, it could be Wednesday.
What we're all waiting to see why Kirk, whether it's a bit of a gimmick or not, is basically cutting himself off from Big Cat. We've yet to see what kind of bomb is going to go off. Will it be that Big Cat is the one who knocks Kirk off the show, or something less sinister? But something's going to happen. I'm waiting for it every episode.
So good discussion. We don't want to step too much on the toes of Cinema. We got Cinema, Mick, John and Warren, and Steve, you're live to tape on that roundtable. That's dropping Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Any final thoughts when we head into 2025 in terms of looking forward for KMS? Predictions, just sort of where do you think things may go? Briefly.
So I was talking about this when bringing up Justin. I'm not going to necessarily call a Justin mental break, like time off or something. I do think we're going to see Kirk ask Justin to leave the studio, like how he had asked Gus before. I think that's going to happen at some point this year. That's my take.
There's been like 6 times I thought he was going to suspend Justin, but it never.
And I think I don't know if it's a suspension. I don't know if it's a Justin time off. I think it's you're done for today. I think that's going to come at some point. I don't know. That's my
it's not a bad call, because Justin has kind of grown a callus around himself towards Kirk, where he used to be a lot more submissive. He's maybe our chubby little boy is growing up. I don't know what's happening, but he's definitely grown a callus. He's definitely getting more of a I don't want to say a thicker skin, because I think if Kirk wanted to break him, he could do it instantaneously. But yeah, I can see that. And I think the guys talked about maybe Dave being more involved with the case than the show. I think if Dave got that opportunity, he would take it in a heartbeat.
Agreed. I think that's his passion lies there. If you had to choose between those two babies, But so before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to Kevin for coming on. Thank you to Coleman for coming on. It's been a long time coming for both of you. We appreciate everybody watching. Any final topics we didn't touch, or just anything you want to throw out there as we say goodnight to the people?
Let's just say real quick, he called in. He's obviously a little defensive. Jeff D. cries very easy. Had Wicked ranked number 13 in his top movies of the year.
It's higher for me. Just throwing that out there.
You're a closeted gay. What do you think?
Wicked was phenomenal. I watched it the other night. I rented it. It's in my top 5 of the year. It's fantastic. Give it a watch. Even if you don't like musicals, give it a watch. It's great.
Oh, I grew up in musicals. I just seeing their interviews made me not want to see it, but maybe I will.
Agreed. That was the worst part of the whole thing. You forget all that and go watch it.
All right.
Coleman, any final thoughts other than musicals?
No, you know, I'd love to maybe get up to the studio at some point and get on or something. I do listen to the show pretty religiously still, even if it's after the fact and everything. But you know, working in the city now, so it's a bit tough. So yeah, happy to keep up with everybody and talk on Twitter and everything. It's great.
2 months from now, a producer gets fired and Kirk offers you the same job, A chair producer, move back to Boston. Are you in? Are you out?
I'm most likely out, but it's a thought, you know. Like I there's definitely days where I do have some regrets. I do think I went about certain things poorly. But you know,
Yeah, how
the
much? How
salt
much?
life, brother. The salt life calls.
How much do you miss it, and what do you miss of it?
I genuinely I think it's like a 50-50 thing. Like I there's some days I wake up and I listen in and I'm like, oh God, miss KMS. There's other days where I see stuff going on. I'm like, it's kind of nice to be on the outside right now. Not gonna lie. But no, I definitely do miss everyone there and the show itself. I miss the drops, man. I miss you know, cutting them up and then perfectly kind of queuing them up. Like I think there was a good rhythm going towards the end too, where I was having a lot of fun with the drops. Really was. So definitely miss that.
Will you be at the live show?
I really don't know. Like my work schedule is kind of busy. I'd love to be able to, but yeah, this new job is kind of tough. So
Freddie, what about you? You gonna be at the live show?
That's the plan.
Nice.
That's the plan.
All right.
So, are you, Kevin?
I sure as hell will. I'll be, you know, even if I'm the scourge of the show, I will fucking be there.
Great. All right. Well, thank you guys again for hopping on. I know, you know, it's not easy to take time out of your busy schedules. Thank you for everybody watching. Have a great night. We will be back early next week, likely Tuesday, live at 9. So stay tuned for that. And thanks again. See you soon.